Folks have some pretty wild ideas when it comes to cash. They seem to think the whole thing wraps up once they reach a specific figure, like 1 million, 5 million, or even 10 million. The reality is, a lot of people don't even know what they're really after. They just crave more because everyone else is doing the same. I've come across guys with 10 million bucks who are totally unhappy, and then there are those with 200,000 who sleep like babies. Want to take a guess at which one's actually richer? It's never about the digits. It's all about having control over your time, your mindset, and your commitments. If your money is calling the shots, you're not truly wealthy. You're just well-equipped. People often ask me, "Charlie, how much cash do you need to feel at ease?" And I always say, comfort doesn't come from cash. It comes from not being foolish. You can be broke and serene if you steer clear of stupidity. On the flip side, you can be loaded and still miserable if you're chasing after status. The world often mixes up comfort with consumption. The middle class craves security, yet ends up buying luxury items. Meanwhile, the wealthy desire freedom, but end up shackling themselves to appearances. In the end, both groups find themselves broke, just in different ways. Let me share something with you. If you believe that you need $10 million to live comfortably, you've already missed the point because you're creating a lifestyle that relies on a never-ending race. The real question isn't how much cash is sufficient. It's about how much foolishness you can eliminate from your financial situation. Once you stop making poor choices, your wealth will manage itself. Folks complicate their lives more than necessary. They purchase items they don't really need to impress people they don't even like, using money they don't actually possess. That's not ambition, it's just insecurity dressed up in a fancy watch. Back in my younger days, I witnessed a lot of people who made quick cash. Almost every one of them found a way to lose it just as quickly. It wasn't just bad luck, it was poor choices. They couldn't stay put. They had to pursue the next excitement. In markets or in life, the inability to just be still can be disastrous. Here's a principle to keep in mind. You don't need to get wealthy twice. The first time is challenging enough. If you have to do it again, it means you made some foolish decisions. People really enjoy chatting about financial freedom. However, a lot of folks are looking for freedom from accountability, not from reliance. They fantasize about earning money without lifting a finger while still engaging in foolishness. Real freedom means being able to live within your means without feeling like you're missing out. That's the core principle. Everything else is just extra. Now, I'm not against making money. I've dedicated my life to helping people build it, but always with a goal in mind, never just to show off. There's a distinction between being rich and being wealthy. Being rich is just a figure, while being wealthy is a way of thinking. The rich might buy fancy things, but the wealthy invest in their time. If you can wake up whenever you choose, collaborate with people you admire, and turn down the nonsense, you've already succeeded, whether your net worth is 50,000 or 50 million. Yet many people won't accept that. They believe that freedom comes with a hefty bank account. They think that peace is tied to material things. They assume happiness is just a few extra bucks away. That's the trick. It's the endless delay of contentment. You convince yourself that you'll take a break once you hit the next target. So then you keep going, and eventually you find yourself still chasing after the next big thing. I've noticed this pattern throughout my life. You see investors, executives, doctors, lawyers, really smart folks who dedicate 4 decades climbing up the corporate ladder only to discover it was propped against the wrong wall. Cash doesn't solve that issue. It merely gives you a nicer view from the wrong ladder. True wealth kicks in when you stop counting it in numbers. It starts when you no longer seek approval from others. The market doesn't care how clever you appear. The world doesn't owe you any admiration, and your bank balance doesn't determine your value. Your actions do. You can enjoy a good life with a modest amount of money. if you have self-control and a clear perspective. Conversely, you can struggle even with a vast fortune if you're driven by jealousy and pride. I refer to that as the paradox of prosperity. People often spend their youth exchanging time for money, only to spend their later years trading money for time. They could have avoided that entire cycle by figuring out what truly matters early on. I'm not suggesting that being poor is something to aspire to. I'm saying that being extravagant is just plain silly. In between those two extremes, there's something truly amazing. Enough. When I say enough, I mean you don't wake up feeling anxious. Enough means you don't rely on luck. Enough means you can think straight without the distractions of greed. But our modern society really doesn't like that word. Enough doesn't sell, it doesn't go viral, it doesn't make your neighbor envious, so folks overlook it and end up trapped in excess. I'm sharing this as someone who's experienced both sides. We built our wealth at the intention architect not by chasing dreams, but by steering clear of foolishness. Charlie Munger and I didn't need 20 mansions or 5 yachts. We just wanted peace of mind and the chance to keep playing the game. The game isn't about getting rich. It's about staying level-headed long enough to let compounding do its magic. And you can't stay level-headed if you're always wanting more. So start by asking yourself a simpler question. How much foolishness am I ready to cut out today? Because that's where true wealth starts. In subtraction, not addition. The issue isn't that folks aren't earning enough cash. It's that they're clueless about what to do with it once they actually have it. Hand an ordinary person $50,000 and they'll seek comfort. Hand them $500,000 and they'll invite complexity into their lives. Hand over $5 million and they're likely to end up making foolish choices. The sad reality of today's world is that the more people make, the less they reflect. They don't look into risk. They focus on lifestyle instead. They aren't asking, how do I safeguard my money? They're wondering, what car suits my new paycheck? That's not real growth, that's just financial immaturity. People often claim they're investing in themselves, but for the most part, that just means buying stuff they'll regret in half a year. Our brains are wired for new experiences, but our wallets bear the consequences. I've been observing this since the 1950s. America built its middle class on hard work and saving, only to gradually tear it apart with credit cards and inflated egos. The television showed them what success should look like, and they fell for the illusion, one payment plan at a time. You can't grow your wealth if you're too busy racking up payments. Many folks say they're striving for freedom, but honestly, they're just funding their own imprisonment. New rides, larger houses, fancier getaways. Each upgrade subtly transforms into a requirement. And the burden of those requirements is what keeps them stuck in a loop. They're not truly free, they're in debt. You can't discuss financial independence without mentioning self-control. Discipline is what builds wealth. It's not about skill, timing, or luck. It's simply the mundane practice of not being foolish. But that's not a trendy message. People are after a hidden recipe. They're looking for the quick fix that turns an average paycheck into a lavish lifestyle. They don't want to hear the truth. The real shortcut is simply steering clear of debt, saving early, and allowing compounding to work its magic. Each generation believes it's wiser than the last, yet every generation ends up making the same blunders. I've seen people go after the latest hot stock, the next property surge, or the newest crypto craze. They label it as innovation. I like to call it clever greed. The faces may change, but the foolishness remains the same. Want to hear about the biggest financial pitfall? It's comfort. Once folks experience a better way of living, they mistake it for true success. They stop asking themselves how to make their lives more efficient and start wondering how to maintain that comfort level indefinitely. That's the addiction no one talks about. Not booze, not drugs, it's comfort. It quietly snuffs out ambition and leads you to justify mediocrity. I've witnessed sharp, driven individuals turn into financial zombies because they couldn't scale back their lifestyle. They understood the numbers didn't add up, but their pride took precedence over logic. That's how someone making $1 million can end up broke in just 10 years, too proud to live like a sensible person. Society rewards appearances. Your neighbor doesn't know your financial situation. They see your car, your clothes, and your vacations. So you keep playing the game until it starts playing you. The average person never realizes that true wealth isn't about how much you bring in. It's all about what you actually keep after dealing with taxes, inflation, and plain old foolishness. I like to call them the 3 quiet assassins. Inflation slowly chips away at your cash. Taxes take their cut, and then stupidity wraps it all up. You can't do much about the first 2, but the last one is in your hands. That's why I put all my effort into that area. Folks often chat about being financially savvy. Personally, I lean more towards financial humility. Realizing what you don't know can save you more cash than any investment seminar or expert ever could. You don't have to guess what the next big trend will be. What you really need to do is steer clear of the next silly mistake. And trust me, those pop up every year, just dressed up in a shiny new term. I recall back in 1999, people believed the internet had wiped out business cycles. Then in 2008, they were convinced that housing prices would never drop. Fast forward to 2021, and everyone thought crypto was the new gold standard. It's always the same tune, just a different verse. The sharpest investors I know aren't out there chasing fads. They're focused on survival. They aim for consistent returns, not flashy headlines. They get that a little boredom is the cost of having stability. Sure, here's a reformulated version of the text. Most folks really can't stand being bored. They're always on the lookout for thrills in their investments and tranquility in their lives, not realizing that those 2 things just don't go hand in hand. If you're itching for some excitement, try skydiving instead. Just don't gamble with your retirement funds. The real pitfall is this. Many think that having money will make them more disciplined. It doesn't work that way. It just amplifies who you already are. If you're reckless when you're poor, you'll be even more chaotic when you've got cash. You can't delegate your character, you can't buy good judgment, and you can't solve foolishness with a paycheck. So if you're after true freedom, stop idolizing income. Instead, value self-control. Get comfortable with simplicity. Learn to turn down things when it's not the popular choice. And practice delaying gratification long enough for compounding to kick in. Because that's what sets apart those who are financially free from those who are stuck. It's not about opportunity or smarts, but rather the straightforward ability to stay calm while everyone else is losing their cool. People tend to make money way more complicated than it needs to be. They transform it into philosophy, psychology, and even spirituality. But fundamentally, money is just math. Addition, subtraction, and self-control. You don't need a diploma from Harvard to get it. All you really have to do is stop deceiving yourself. Here's a little secret for you. Financial freedom isn't some magical concept. It's just math. You can live comfortably, not lavishly, but comfortably on a decent amount of money if you keep your head straight. $500,000 can provide you with a lifetime of freedom. If you treat it like an adult would handle fire, here's the reasoning. Invest $500,000 in safe options, fixed income, government bonds, high-yield savings, and maybe a few solid stocks. A 5% return gives you $25,000 a year. A 9% return gives you $45,000. That's all there is to it. No miracles, no genius involved, just math. Now, when the average person hears those figures, they freak out. $45,000. I can't get by on that. That's because they've created a lifestyle that needs constant adrenaline to keep going. If your version of comfort revolves around non-stop spending, you've got it all wrong. The reality is that in many places around the globe, $45,000 a year is sufficient for a peaceful life. If you have your own place, steer clear of debt and quit trying to impress people you don't know, you'll be just fine. It's not flashy, it won't make it to Instagram, but it's sensible. Sensibility doesn't get the recognition it deserves in finance. It's overlooked simply because it's not exciting. I've always believed that the best investment approach is the one you can stick to while the rest of the world goes crazy. The same applies to how you spend your money. If you rely on outside thrills to feel alive, your finances will always take a hit. The real challenge is about endurance, not how fast you can go. People often say, "Charlie Munger, you and Buffett had billions." Sure, but we live like folks who don't need to show off. That's how we manage to keep it. Most high earners never grasp this concept. They assume financial freedom happens when income surpasses expenses. Nope, it actually comes when your ego stops overshadowing your common sense. You can't purchase peace of mind with a higher return. You acquire it by reducing your reliance on returns. Just take a look at how delicate most people's lives are. One job loss, one unexpected medical expense, one rough quarter, and everything comes crashing down. That's not what freedom looks like. That's just leverage masquerading as achievement. Freedom is this: your everyday life carries on smoothly and predictably. Even if the market shuts down for 5 years, you rest easy whether interest rates rise or fall. You don't check your net worth every single morning because your self-esteem isn't linked to it. That's the kind of math that matters to me. Now, if you're interested in the technical details, sure. Take that $500,000, earn 5%, reinvest a portion of the earnings, and let inflation do its thing. If you can increase your principal by even 3% each year, you're keeping your purchasing power intact. That's what's important. It's not about the figure, but about the sustainability. Compounding is a wonder only for those who are patient. Everyone else treats it like a game of chance. They disrupt it every time they feel restless. Charlie Munger once mentioned, "It's not about being the smartest. It's about being more rational for a longer period." He's got a point. We became wealthy by being patient, not by taking wild risks. If you believe you're too clever for consistent gains, the market will teach you a lesson. And if you think you're too affluent to worry about small percentages, inflation will catch up with you. The key distinction between wealth and freedom is that wealth without self-control diminishes over time. Freedom without limits can fall apart. People often overlook what a small amount of capital can achieve when it's combined with persistence. 500,000 invested wisely outperforms 10 million managed with emotions. Because when fear and greed steer the boat, numbers don't count, behavior does. Just think about it. A disciplined investor can rely on interest for the long haul, maintaining the principal and allowing compounding to do its magic. But a careless spender can wipe out a fortune quicker than compound interest can build it. The toughest aspect of money isn't earning it. It's holding on to it when your pride tells you that you deserve more. I once advised a young investor, "You don't have to chase after more money. You really ought to cut down on unnecessary expenses." He chuckled until his way of living started eating into his earnings. Here's another reality that many won't acknowledge. If you can't find joy in simple comforts, you won't find it in abundance either. You'll just amplify your unhappiness. I've witnessed guys move from a Honda to a Rolls-Royce and lose their peace of mind in the process. It turns out the car runs perfectly, but the mind starts losing its grip on sanity when you hit 70 miles per hour. Freedom isn't just about retiring early or snagging a beach house. It's about taking back your time, your focus, and your choices. When your income can support your life without stress, you're richer than 90% of folks out there. But we've been conditioned not to see that. Marketing and jealousy blind us. They sell us the notion that life is a race of consumption. It's not. It's really a challenge of self-discipline. So the straightforward equation for freedom looks like this. Earn enough to meet your genuine needs. Spend well below your means. Invest what's left in assets that won't keep you awake at night. Do this for 20 years. It's doable. It's gradual. It's the ultimate wealth creation tool ever created. But honestly, not many folks can pull it off because so few can be patient enough to let dull math transform into serene freedom. People tend to overrate smarts and underestimate self-control. They believe that accumulating wealth hinges on intelligence, timing, or sheer luck. That's not the case. It really comes down to character. I've encountered brilliant minds who couldn't keep their finances in check. They could recite quotes from great thinkers but struggled to manage their budgets. Their issue wasn't a lack of intelligence. It was their approach to investing and life in general. Behavior consistently outshines brilliance. You don't have to be exceptional, you just need to be reliably sensible. But let's face it, being sensible isn't exactly glamorous. Self-discipline isn't popular, and patience seldom grabs the spotlight. That's why we keep seeing smart individuals stumble. Let me share a little insight about wealth. It doesn't favor thrill-seeking. It values perseverance. The market rewards those who can remain calm while everyone else is freaking out, tweeting, or making wild guesses. Most people just can't manage that. They equate being busy with making progress. In truth, it boils down to friction. Every unnecessary action chips away at your resources, just like erosion gradually wears down stone. When I mention discipline, I'm not referring to spreadsheets or rigid budgets. I mean having mental clarity, the knack for saying no 10 times more than you say yes. Discipline is simply maintaining rational thought over time. And that kind of sustained rationality is harder to find than diamonds. Take a look at any long-term achiever, not just in investing, but in any field. The trend is consistent. They made a handful of significant choices, right? And then they steered clear of foolishness for years on end. That's all there is to it. No hidden tricks, just a determined refusal to sabotage themselves. We established Berkshire on this principle. Charlie Munger and I didn't jump at every opportunity. We held out for the clear ones. Sometimes we waited for years, and that patience made us wealthy. Everyone desires our outcomes. No one wants our perseverance. The funny thing is, discipline doesn't even have to involve suffering. It just needs a tolerance for boredom. Yet today's culture has absolutely no patience for boredom. Folks would rather part with their cash than feel bored. They call it staying engaged. I see it as financial self-sabotage. Here's how real discipline operates. You choose the game you want to play. You set the rules for what success means, and then you tune out everything else. If you don't set the parameters, you'll find yourself playing someone else's game, which is often a foolish one. When it comes to money, the silliest game is envy. Trying to outspend, outinvest, or outshine others is how smart individuals quietly bring about their own downfall. I've witnessed brilliant doctors, lawyers, and CEOs turn their lives into debt traps just to maintain a facade. They weren't greedy, they were just weak. They couldn't bear the thought of appearing less successful. The inability to overlook others is one of the priciest habits out there. Discipline can change that. It teaches you to think for yourself, to make choices based on numbers, not cheers. You'll find something amusing when you start living this way. The world will stop making sense to you. Folks often celebrate things that actually end up making them poorer. They get excited about risks they don't fully grasp and poke fun at the caution they really need. Don't fall into that trap. Being unique isn't about being cocky, it's about survival. A disciplined investor is like a chess player who only makes a move when the situation is just right, not just because time is running out. On the other hand, the typical investor acts like someone at a slot machine. Every pull of the lever feels like they're in control, and every loss seems like just bad luck. That's how markets and casinos rake in the cash. Here's a formula I really like. Discipline equals clarity multiplied by patience. And then there's ego. You've got to take ego out of the mix. Suddenly, compounding becomes a breeze. If you let ego sneak in, you'll end up trying to prove you're right instead of focusing on getting rich. That's where every financial disaster I've seen starts. People are always curious, what's the secret to long-term success? I tell them, don't mess with compounding for no good reason. That's just another way of saying, don't act foolishly just because you're feeling restless. The world is packed with smart folks who can't help but undermine themselves at the worst moments. They get overly ambitious during good times, anxious during downturns, and uneasy in the in-between. It's discipline that keeps you from being part of that crowd of fools. It's all about being able to think clearly while everyone else is caught up in their feelings. It doesn't mean you'll never slip up. It just means you make fewer mistakes and learn to bounce back from them. Surviving is often overlooked in the world of investing. People are so focused on chasing after growth that they forget that survival is the first step to achieving it. You can't build on something that isn't there. Here's a little challenge for you. If you can endure a market crash without panicking and selling off your assets, if you can go a whole year without upgrading your lifestyle, and if you can reinvest your dividends instead of blowing them, then you're already ahead of 90% of investors. Discipline builds on itself. Each smart choice you make paves the way for the next one. Before you know it, your life turns into a compounding powerhouse. Not only your finances, but also your routines, your decision-making, and your peace of mind. That's how wealth gradually accumulates. It's not about being a genius. It's about being consistent. It's not about taking risks. It's about exercising restraint. The market doesn't give bonuses for brilliance. It rewards those who can endure while staying humble. The unfortunate truth is that many folks can't handle prosperity. They believe that making money means they are clever, and that arrogance ultimately leads to their downfall. The reality is straightforward. To become wealthy, you need discipline at least once. To maintain that wealth, you require it indefinitely. The quickest way to lose wealth isn't a market downturn, it's comfort. Once people experience a bit of luxury, they start to mix it up with true happiness. They think of it as treating themselves, as if spending excessively is a form of success. I've witnessed this unfold for 70 years. It's always the same cycle. Earnings go up, humility disappears, and foolishness steps in. First, they get a new car, then a bigger house, and then their expectations soar. That's what real inflation looks like. No one keeps track of it. The inflation of expectations. When your hopes soar quicker than your income, you'll never feel wealthy. It doesn't matter how much you earn. You could be making $200,000 a year and still feel broke because you've created a lifestyle that demands $300,000 to keep up. Lifestyle inflation is just a fancy way of saying you're undermining yourself. The harm isn't obvious right away, but over time, every upgrade turns into a burden. A larger home means steeper taxes, more upkeep, extra furniture, and a lot more clutter. A luxury vehicle comes with higher insurance, more repairs, and added stress when someone dings it in the parking lot. The twist is that every item you buy to bring happiness often ends up causing stress. You can't truly enjoy freedom when your belongings control you. You're not living a better life. You're just juggling more things. Folks chat about financial independence while crafting lifestyles that demand constant servitude to uphold. That's not freedom, that's gilded bondage. Let me be straightforward. If you find yourself hustling non-stop just to keep up appearances, you're not really winning, you're stuck. Society pushes the idea that comfort increases with how much you spend, but that's not true after a certain point. Each additional dollar brings diminishing returns in happiness and greater risks to your freedom. I've come across guys who have it all but enjoy nothing. They spend their time dealing with issues caused by their own desire for more. Every luxury just adds another layer of responsibility, and the more responsibilities you take on, the less freedom you have. Flexibility is true wealth. When you can walk away from the nonsense, you're wealthier than someone with 10 million tied up in their image. But good luck explaining that to someone who just upgraded their lifestyle. They'll insist they're investing in their happiness. That's just fancy talk for digging a hole they'll regret later. People often believe that freedom is about buying whatever they want, but it's really about wanting less. Once you figure that out, you'll be unstoppable. Here's something that often goes unsaid. Every single dollar you choose not to spend holds a growing value. Each time you practice self-control, it adds up over time. Every unnecessary buy chips away at your future. The numbers are straightforward but harsh. If you drop $500 a month on frivolous stuff, that adds up to $6,000 a year, or $60,000 in 10 years. If you invest that money instead, compounding can turn it into hundreds of thousands. That's the subtle distinction between those who are comfortable and those who are struggling. Yet folks don't recognize the trade-off because it's not obvious. They focus on the fun they're missing out on today, rather than the freedom they're sacrificing for tomorrow. Discipline can feel like a burden until compounding makes it seem brilliant. You know who gets this instinctively? Older folks who went through the Great Depression. They don't waste. They don't flaunt their wealth. They understand the happiness of having enough and the fear of losing it. They'd prefer to fix a shirt rather than buy a new one. That way of thinking creates lasting wealth, the kind that endures wars, economic downturns, and foolishness. These days, being frugal is seen as a bad thing. Folks love to show off their spending habits instead of their saving skills. They mix up having cash on hand with being important. Whenever I hear someone say, "You only live once," I can bet they're about to make a really poor financial choice. Sure, you only live once, but if you mess it up, that one time is plenty. The true happiness that comes from having money isn't about living in luxury. It's about freedom. It's about waking up and knowing you're in charge of your day. No alarms, no obligations, no stress. The sad part is that people give that up for a fancy new kitchen or a car that loses value quicker than they can keep their cool. Lifestyle inflation is like a sickness of the ego. It's the idea that getting new things will fill the void inside. Spoiler alert, it won't. It'll just keep you busier. Here's the twist. You spend the first part of your life making money to enhance your lifestyle, and then you spend the latter part trying to simplify it all over again. You acquire space, then spend years cluttering it up, only to end up hiring movers and therapists to help you clear it out later. Minimalism isn't just a passing trend. It's all about logical math. The fewer things you require to feel happy, the stronger you become. Charlie Munger and I chose to live simply for a reason. It wasn't just because we were cheap for fun, but because living simply keeps you grounded. It helps you think clearly. It cuts out the distractions in your life so your mind can concentrate on what really builds knowledge, connections, and smart choices. You can't think straight when your schedule and your wardrobe are both crammed. You can't make sensible decisions when your self-esteem is tied to what you buy. If you want to accumulate wealth, get in the habit of living under your means. If you want to maintain that wealth, find joy in living with less. Because here's the ultimate truth. If you think you need more cash to feel free, you'll never experience true freedom, no matter how much you earn. Freedom is a mental reward that comes from self-control, and that self-control doesn't cost anything if you're tough enough to apply it. Folks love to chat about making money, Hardly anyone wants to chat about holding on to it. But wealth isn't just about what you make. It's really about what you manage to keep after all the foolishness. Taxes and inflation have taken their share. The truly great investors, the genuine ones, not the ones boasting about quick gains on social media, know that the first rule of compounding is pretty straightforward. Don't mess with it. Yet messing with it seems to be humanity's favorite pastime. They just can't resist. A fresh tip, a shiny new gadget, a so-called guaranteed win, and suddenly, years of patience disappear in an instant. It's not the markets that wipe out fortunes, it's our behavior. You see, wealth is delicate. It requires discipline to build, and just one silly mistake can ruin it all. The higher you rise, the more gravity pulls you down. That's why protecting your capital isn't flashy. It's essential. It's the bedrock of any fortune that lasts beyond a fleeting news story. Let me put it this way. Picture a tree that grows money leaves. Each season, it produces 5% more leaves. If you take care of that tree, it will keep growing forever. Sure, here's a reformulated version of the text. Most folks really can't stand being bored. They're always on the lookout for thrills in their investments and tranquility in their lives, not realizing that those two things just don't go hand in hand. If you're itching for some excitement, try skydiving instead. Just don't gamble with your retirement funds. The real pitfall is this. Many think that having money will make them more disciplined. It doesn't work that way. It just amplifies who you already are. If you're reckless when you're poor, you'll be even more chaotic when you've got cash. You can't delegate your character, you can't buy good judgment, and you can't solve foolishness with a paycheck. So if you're after true freedom, stop idolizing income. Instead, value self-control. Get comfortable with simplicity. Learn to turn down things when it's not the popular choice. And practice delaying gratification long enough for compounding to kick in. Because that's what sets apart those who are financially free from those who are stuck. It's not about opportunity or smarts, but rather the straightforward ability to stay calm while everyone else is losing their cool. People tend to make money way more complicated than it needs to be. You know, I've seen really smart folks end up broke because they borrowed too much. They always say the same thing, this time is different, but it's not. Debt mixed with a big ego always leads to trouble, and it always will. Keeping your money safe doesn't mean stashing it away under your mattress. It's about organizing your life so you never have to sell in a panic. If you keep your expenses low and your patience high, you can ride out any storm. That's true strength. It's not about predicting the market. It's about being able to withstand it. Everyone wants to see bigger returns, but only a few actually deserve them because those higher returns need either more smarts, more discipline, or sometimes both. Most people just don't have enough of either. That's why I lean towards dull investments. Businesses that make sense, products that people will still want in 30 years, and financial statements that can weather a downturn. Boring keeps you afloat. Excitement can leave you broke. I'd much rather earn 8% forever than 20% one year and then drop to -40 the next. But hey, the world loves a thrill ride, not a steady train. Check out all the bubbles we've experienced. 1969, 1987, 2000, 2008. Each one kicked off with a straightforward narrative. This time is different. It never is. Human behavior doesn't change as quickly as technology does. Fear and greed are still driving the system. That's why your primary role as an investor isn't to outsmart the market. It's to outlast your own instincts. Protecting your capital is about being humble. It's recognizing that you're not all-knowing, that unexpected events happen, and that the world doesn't care about your positive outlook. When you safeguard your capital, you maintain your options, the ability to act when everyone else is frozen. That's how real wealth is created. Not during booming markets, But during downturns, when cash becomes the most precious resource on the planet, in moments of panic, folks sell what they should keep and hold on to what they should let go. We scoop up what they're getting rid of. That's not bravery, it's being prepared. You can't be greedy when others are scared. If you're also broke when others are scared. All right, here's how I see it. I tell folks to hold on to some cash, stay patient, and keep a humble attitude. Those are the things that really build up over time. Here's the twist that a lot of people overlook. You actually end up making more money over your life by dodging major losses rather than chasing after huge profits. Compounding really favors those who are careful and tends to hit hard on the reckless ones. And don't forget, inflation is like a sneaky thief. If your cash isn't growing at a faster rate than prices, you're actually losing ground, even if your account balance seems fine. That's the reason I'm a fan of real businesses, productive assets that bring in cash. No wild speculation, no smoke and mirrors, just solid value. Think factories, utilities, everyday products, those reliable ones that stick around. The secret isn't about going for home runs. It's about consistently hitting singles without getting out. I've mentioned this before, you don't need to be a genius to build wealth. What you really need is a lifetime of smart choices. Preserving your capital is all about the skill of steering clear of foolish decisions year after year, decade after decade. The market tends to reward those who are patient, but it truly reveres those who last. So take a moment to reflect. Every time you check your investments, every time you take a leap of faith, are you nurturing the tree, or are you just hacking away at it for some quick satisfaction? How you answer that will determine if you find yourself liberated or in a state of panic. As I grow older, I'm increasingly convinced that complexity is just a fancy way of being foolish. Not the loud, obvious kind, but the subtle kind. The type that lurks behind fancy terms, social status, and inflated egos. Folks tend to complicate things because it gives them a sense of superiority. They believe that using 10 words instead of one showcases their smarts. In truth, it reveals their lack of confidence. Simplicity isn't a sign of ignorance. It's about clarity. It's what's left after you sift through all the nonsense in investing, business, and life. The brightest individuals I've encountered are those who make choices that you could easily explain to a kid. If your logic requires a PowerPoint presentation, it's likely flawed. We built Berkshire Hathaway on that principle. We didn't need complex algorithms or a team of 20 analysts with advanced degrees. We just picked up straightforward businesses at reasonable prices and let time do its thing, which is to grow. That's the essence of it. And, it outperforms everything else. But keeping it simple is tough because our egos resist it. People naturally want things to be complicated. They like to feel like they're in charge. And the biggest trick in finance is thinking you have control. When folks say, "I get the market," what they really mean is, "I've just been lucky up to now." Simplicity shields you from that misconception. It keeps you grounded. It serves as a reminder that most of the world operates perfectly well without your input. Here's a solid guideline if you can't break down your investment plan without using a spreadsheet. Chances are you don't really have one. The same applies to your personal finances. If you rely on an app to figure out if you're broke, you're already in trouble. The average person doesn't need complicated financial tools. They just need 3 things: a good savings rate, a well-rounded portfolio, and the patience to stay put. That's all there is to it. Everything else is just background noise created by folks who benefit from your confusion. I've come across so many investors who got lost in all the complexity. They believed that diversifying meant having 50 different stocks. In reality, it's about not relying on any one fool, including yourself. You can lead a fulfilling life by following a few straightforward principles. Spend less than what you bring in. Stay away from that. Invest in things you actually get. Don't be a jerk. That last piece of advice solves more issues than compound interest ever could. But today's world doesn't seem to value simple virtues. It values the noise. The more chaotic something appears, the more people think it's sophisticated. They're mistaken. Confusion isn't sophistication. It's just a cover for incompetence. I've been in so many meetings where leaders made simple choices, complicated just to prove they were needed. The smartest person in the room is often the one who asks, "Why don't we just stick with what's already working?" That's not being lazy, that's being wise. Repeating sound actions is way better than trying to reinvent foolishness. If you believe you're too smart for basic rules, the market will definitely set you straight. Keeping things simple also goes for how we live our lives. Folks tend to complicate their existence until they feel suffocated. Too many belongings, too many obligations, too much chaos. Then they label it as success. If your schedule controls you, you're not really successful. You're just a servant to disorder. True freedom is found in simplicity. The fewer moving parts you have, the less likely things are to break. This applies to both investments and relationships. I've always favored quiet wealth over loud struggles. The person who understands what enough means will always outlast the one who's constantly crunching numbers. Here's a little test I like to use. If your solution needs adjectives, it's likely off track. Good choices are all about nouns and verbs. They should be clear, strong, and, yes, a bit boring. People chuckle when I mention boring. They think it's synonymous with dullness. But really, boring just means consistent, reliable skill. That's what builds up in terms of capital, reputation, and wisdom. Want to see the other side of things? Check out Wall Street back in 2008. Countless folks tossing around fancy terms just to cover their basic greed. Derivatives so intricate that even the folks who created them couldn't grasp the risks. And when it all came crashing down, they acted like it was a big surprise. That's not being smart. That's just having a big ego with a calculator. You can't outwit mathematics. All you can do is show it some respect. This same idea goes for life beyond finances. Keeping things simple in relationships, food choices, and daily routines. Those are the real treasures that come with age. Charlie Munger munches like a kid and spends his days reading. He's not doing it because he's quirky. He's doing it to keep life straightforward enough for his mind to focus on what really matters, making decisions and finding peace. I'm right there with him. We're both not fans of extra complexity. We know what it leads to. It steals your focus and makes you feel busy without actually getting anything done. The aim isn't to pile on more, it's to want less. You don't have to juggle 10 projects or manage 20 accounts. You need a system that operates smoothly in the background, allowing you to focus on thinking, reading, or just relaxing instead of dealing with errors that come from disorder. Here's the amusing part. To those who lack discipline, simplicity can seem like laziness. They confuse tranquility with weakness. Yet they overlook the fact that the calmest waters conceal the deepest depths. Simplicity restores your most precious resource, attention. And when attention is directed wisely, it transforms into judgment. That's the only genuine advantage any investor can have. If you can streamline your finances, your timetable, and your wants, you've already outperformed 99% of people. They'll still be caught up in complexity while you're building a foundation of clarity. People are always craving more. It's just how we're wired. More money, more recognition, more of everything. But wanting more is a condition without a cure, only something to manage. You never see anyone overdose on having enough. It's always the pursuit of more that leads to trouble. You know, I've been around long enough to witness wealthy folks completely mess up their lives because they just couldn't quit the game after they had already hit the jackpot. They figured that one more deal would finally bring them some peace. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Instead, it just created more chaos. Want to know why? because peace doesn't expand. Once you have what you need, anything beyond that is just background noise. A lot of people think being satisfied means being lazy, but that's not the case. It's actually a rare kind of smarts, the ability to see when the pursuit is causing more harm than good. The world keeps shifting the finish line. When you earn your first 100,000, suddenly you're dreaming of 1,000,000. Once you hit 1,000,000, you're aiming for 10. At 10, you start wanting recognition, and when you get that recognition, you begin to crave immortality. It's a never-ending cycle. It's like a treadmill that runs on envy and is fueled by insecurity. If you don't make a conscious choice to step off, that treadmill will keep going until you're completely worn out. Here's the hard truth. You don't need millions to live a good life. What you really need is clarity. Clarity on what enough means for you. But most people never take the time to figure that out. They simply mimic the goals of others. That's why they find themselves one day in a beautiful home, leading an empty existence with no clue how they ended up there. If you don't recognize when enough is enough, you'll spend your life racing past it. I've seen folks amass incredible wealth only to realize they've constructed a gilded prison. They can't ease up because their way of living won't allow it. They can't take a break because their pride won't permit it. They confuse being busy with having purpose. Back in the day, I believed that cash would fix all my issues. Then I got some and figured out that the true advantage wasn't in luxury. It was in having independence, freedom from nonsense, freedom from bosses, freedom to think without interruptions. After that, the extra digits lost their significance. If you can cover your expenses, manage your time, and steer clear of fools, you've already won. Everything beyond that is just vanity metrics. People tend to overcomplicate it, but the equation is straightforward. Wealth is what you possess minus what you require. The smaller that second number is, the wealthier you become. I know folks with $50 million who feel like they need 60. They're struggling. Then there are those with just a little saved up who are totally at ease. They're the real wealthy ones. The key is to sync your finances with your mindset. If your hopes outpace your earnings, you'll always feel like you're lagging behind, regardless of your account balance. That's why figuring out what's enough is the ultimate game changer. Once you nail it, no one can pull your strings anymore. Not the market, not advertisers, not politicians. You break free from the crowd. You stop trading your peace for pressure. Society doesn't like that notion because it can't profit from it. Enough doesn't rack up clicks or sales. It doesn't spark envy in your neighbor. It simply brings you tranquility. And tranquility isn't what's trending, but that's where true wisdom resides. When you stop feeling the need to prove yourself, your mind starts functioning as it should. You quit chasing after status and begin to see things as they really are. You realize just how much foolishness runs the world and how little of it you actually need to engage with. That's an insight that a lot of folks never get to because they're too caught up in checking their investments. I once mentioned that jealousy is the silliest of all vices since it doesn't bring you any joy. You don't gain anything from it. All you do is cause yourself pain. Yet, jealousy fuels today's economy. Whole sectors are built around making you feel like you don't measure up. The remedy? Gratitude. Not the phony kind you flaunt on social media, but the genuine kind that allows you to sit quietly with your life and think, this is enough. The funny thing is, when you truly embrace that feeling, you start making wiser choices. You take fewer reckless chances. You hold on to more of your assets. And that wealth grows steadily because it's not being constantly exchanged for approval. Enough isn't just a finish line, it's a mindset. It's that moment when reason triumphs over greed. You don't stop working on yourself. You stop puffing yourself up. You stop trying to outshine others and start aiming to outlast them. And here's what unfolds next. You become unmanageable because the person who understands enough can't be swayed by more. That's true freedom. It's not about luxury boats or private planes, but rather the power to decline without worrying about what you might lose. People might label you as dull. So what? Dull folks get a good night's sleep, and a good night's sleep is the greatest return on investment money can offer. If you really want to gauge wealth, don't tally up your belongings. Count your worry-free hours instead. Because in the end, that's what the whole game has always been about. Your time, your decisions, and your tranquility. Everything else is just noise.